Good morning, everyone. My name is Eric. Welcome into Above My Pay Grade. The French are whining again. This time it's about pensions. Saw this in the news. And if you were watching my channel a couple days ago, I did an interview with the Economic Ninja about pensions. One of the things I've been thinking about is do public pensions or federal, specifically ones that aren't really invested but are either paid out through tax dollars or through money printing, should you view those differently than, say, a pension with like CalPERS, which is actually invested and they need to make a net gain on that to pay out to beneficiaries? And he said basically that public pensions are just as federal pensions are just as in as much danger as, say, something like CalPERS, which I would tend to agree with. I would say maybe CalPERS is more in the near term, but federal pensions are definitely in danger, and that's something that I always think about when I think about investing. Is, hey, um, if I have a pension for the rest of my life and that goes away, what else would be in danger because that pension went away? Meaning, like if the federal government stopped paying out military pensioners, there's other things going on. So how would you hedge against that? That's just something great way of thinking about it. But one of the things I constantly say, what to spend money on or how to spend the money publicly, is a political slash moral question. But how much money to spend is a math question. And unfortunately, when the government gets you used to bennies like Social Security and they try to change those bennies, people get pissed off. And that's happening right now in France. So let's take a look at this article here from the BBC. Sorry, I don't have it pulled up. Hold on one second. Um, from the BBC, France is striking over Macron trying to raise the retirement age. Now, they have a pension system much like ours, um, meaning you pay into it, it's a public pension, yada, yada, but it's running out of money. And so this should be a harbinger for what would happen in the United States if we try. This is why no politician tries to reform Social Security. And this is why I agree with the economic ninja that pensions are going away because um, even if there's no political will, even if politicians wanted to do it, they'll be fired. They'll be voted out of office. Um, maybe, maybe if a politician were to actually educate their voters, which I always recommend doing, is saying, hey, here's option A. We continue on the path we're going down, and you'll see your purchasing power. You'll see the dollars enter your account, but your purchasing power going down. Or option B is we make reforms. Now, I think a lot of people, much like in other domains in life, they think maybe if you cut Social Security or retirement, um, that doesn't mean that they're going to balance the budget. That just means they'll take the money and spend it somewhere else. And I don't necessarily disagree with these people that the government would take the money, the economic savings, and just spend it on like the war machine or some other part of the federal government. But we have to get to the point where we, in my humble opinion, um, say how much money the government spends. Because what they spend it on, we can discuss politically, but how much money they spend, um, unfortunately, they have very little brake pedal there. The brake pedal's broken. All right, so in the article here it says France strikes 1 million protests against Macron's rise in retirement age. President Emmanuel Macron calls for reforms as just and responsible. Don't disagree with him at all. If they're running out of money, they've got to cut somewhere. But they are facing a make or break moment. The number of protesters has swelled, by the way, to about 1 million. Let's take a look at this video here. They seem pretty happy. That's a killer bite. So, what do you think politicians think when they see stuff like this? Remember, most politicians, their number one goal is to retain power. Um, and a lot of the problems they would face by not changing this would maybe be felt in the next administration. So now you're starting to see why why we have the problems we do, because this cutting spending when it comes to the payments, the transfer payments, is very unpopular. Okay, reading here from the article, hailed by the government as a vital measure to safeguard France's share-out pension system, reform is proving deeply unpopular among the public, with 68% saying they are opposed, according to an IFOP poll this week. The worst outcome for the government would be rolling strikes in transport. Obviously, that would hurt economically. Hospitals and fuel depots, effectively bringing the country to a standstill. Um, my opinion on this is no government should be involved in the pension system at all, because they run into this problem where they have this system in perpetuity, like Social Security here in the United States, and it is essentially a blank check. But what happens if the ratio of workers to retirees changes? That's happening in France. That's happening in the United States. What happens? They don't have nearly enough money going in as they have going out. But people have become somewhat dependent on this system, and therefore they riot if they try to change it. Okay, and unfortunately, regardless of what these people think, the system's going to change. If it stays the same, they will get the same amount of euros in their bank account, and it'll just buy them less. That's what they don't realize. They can fight this all they want, but if they do not reform it, all that means is they will get the same. They will get the euros promised, and it will buy them less because of inflation. Okay. The prime minister invoked a principle of intergenerational solidarity, essentially trying to say, "Hey, this is going to hurt your kids if we keep doing this." To justify the decision to make people work longer under the French system. Very few people have personal pension plans linked to capital investments, aka it's not like a CalPERS. It is like Social Security. Instead, the pensions of those who are retired are paid from the same common fund into which those who work have contributed every month. So this is where the entitlement comes from, right? You paid into it, you promised me something, and the math isn't adding up, and so that's why people are pissed, understandably. Workers know they will benefit from the same treatment when they retire. What a lot of workers don't know, and I is if they would have taken that money and invested it in capital investments, they would be way better off. Um, I take the government completely out of it. They'd be way better off if the government wasn't involved in this. Unfortunately, there will be certain people that don't save for retirement. And the question is, as a society, what do we do with those people? Um, and I think that's the family and church's responsibility. When you abdicate it to the state, um, people abdicate their responsibility, essentially. All right. So, however, the government system says it is heading for a disaster because the ratio between those working and those in retirement is diminishing rapidly. Sound familiar? From 4 workers per retiree 50 years ago, the ratio has fallen to around 1 to 7 per retiree today, and it will sink further in the years ahead. So this problem is only getting worse. They're seeing the math on the horizon. Nearly all other European countries have taken steps to raise the official retirement age, with Italy and Germany, for example, on 67 or 267, and Spain to 65. In the UK, it's currently 66. So do you think this will happen? My question for you is, as I continually say, you're going to see emerging markets suffer first, collapse first. Think Sri Lanka, and then you're going to see Europe having massive economic issues. Europe, England, Australia, other developed countries, NATO countries, and then the United States. It's kind of that dollar milkshake theory. But they're coming to this crossroads because of the debt in the system and because we've never answered the question how much money we should spend. We will deal with it tomorrow, and tomorrow has come, and people don't like it. People don't like that we have to cut the pension system. But again, as I've said many, many times, um, it's not going to go. It's not going to go the way people think, in my humble opinion. All right, let me know what you think in the comments below. See you all in the next one. Peace.